Welcome back to the pod. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're doing okay. Today, we're talking about probably one of the more... It's the thing that people get excited about, nutrition. Everybody's got their ideology. You're a good person if you eat vegetables. You're a bad person if you look at a cow. These kinds of things. We're talking about nutrition. Nutrition is the aim of the game, and we're not going to talk about practical things to do for nutrition. We're going to talk more about health and performance, theory of science, this kind of stuff. So, nutrition for performance and health is slightly different. And I want to dive into the philosophy of how I approach nutrition, my thought process, and also my thought process with regards to the scientific process, a bit of the theory of science, and how to qualify the quality of data and information out there, because nutrition is a world of craziness, absolute craziness, if you ask me. Most people get their information from a documentary on Netflix or a medical doctor or just some random person's opinion. A 16-year-old kid on TikTok who's telling you to kind of just eat meat or don't look at meat or just eat avocados. And that's not really how I choose to collect my information or data to make my decisions based off. I think all of that is actually, most of the time, bullshit. There's a grain of truth in everything, and what we're going to be talking about is how to get the most likely, closest to true answer. So nutrition is a bit of a chaos. So how do you go around figuring out what is good quality information? This is not just true for nutrition, but true for life in general. How do you think? How do you be a critical thinker and not just be like accepting all the knowledge that comes to you? How do you not think so? Like, if you're the kind of person where you hear something, you agree with it, and then the next person says something controversial to that point of view, and you agree with that, and you don't have any base to start making decisions off, this is probably, as our society, the best, most accurate way that we figure out if things are more likely true than not and move forward like this. So it's the scientific process. And that is, of course, also it's very complex. There's a lot of chaos, and it's basically what we do to gather evidence to support one side or another side and back that up over time. And that is a huge advancement for society and for human beings and our species. And that is how we've developed loads of fantastic things to use. Like, look at this, what we're doing now, podcast, little setup at home. All this technology is literally amazing. And you're getting it on your phone or whatever, and it's just like, this is brilliant. That's because of science and ingenuity and figuring things out. And a big thing before I dive into kind of the nutrition is all of our science is wrong. It's just how wrong is it, and does it even matter? So, for example, physics is one of the hardest sciences. It's based on the most facts, quote unquote. I'm air quoting here. Maths is what physics is based on, but we kind of set up the rules for maths. Humans set up the rules subjectively, and therefore everything has a bit of wiggle room. We will never have all the answers, and that's okay. The world is too complex, the universe is too complex, we will never actually get all the answers, but it doesn't matter. And the prime example of that, the most obvious thing, is that the fact that we got to land on the moon with physics that was wrong. So Newton's physics was sufficient for us to land on the moon, and then years later with quantum physics, some of his theories and theses have been proven wrong, but they were good enough to get us to land on the moon. So that's kind of the thing here. That's a bit of the topic. We're looking for things that are good enough to get us where we need to go, be it the moon, be it weight loss, be it a bit of health, be it a bit of performance. That's what we're going into. Now, you've got harder sciences like physics, maths, chemistry, and it goes all the way up to the social sciences, which are less hard. And what I mean by hard, I mean like gangster. Like, are you hard? Are you tough? Can you survive the streets? And maths can. So looking at the differences through science, and we just need to get our answers close enough to the likelihood so we can get the outcomes that we're looking for. So often when people are discussing nutrition, they'll be like, I've read this singular study, and it told me that eating avocados is good for me, and therefore I'm going to eat a lot of avocados because of this one study, where really science is about, as I've mentioned, collecting a large amount of data, putting that together and getting a kind of outcome from all of that data. So if you've got people quoting singular studies, you can always find a study to answer almost everything in nutrition, but it's more about what do the majority of the studies say are the most likely outcomes. So we don't want to just rely on singular studies. And even within studies themselves, scientific papers, the quality of information changes. So there's 100 layers to this. And of course, it's like it's a lot of depth that you can go into. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, and then we're going to span out and dive into it a little bit more. So with regards to different studies, like meta-analysis and systematic reviews are going to be like your cream of the crop if they're high quality studies involved in those. It's basically studies of studies, reviewing studies, review papers on all of the studies. So therefore, each of those papers are reviewing other papers. So you're not just getting one study, you're getting a study of studies. And as long as the studies involved in that are kind of either done well or critiqued well enough that they can be thrown out if they're bad, that's a really good way to gather information and make decisions off. Then you've got random controlled trials, cohort studies, and this is just going down in the hierarchy of likely to be good, animal trials, and then you've got case reports and opinion papers. So that's kind of your pyramid of good quality science going down in quality there. And what we're kind of diving into and what the point is here is like theory of science is not just looking at single papers. It's putting all the papers that are in science and in the literature together and taking an opinion from there. And scientists have done that. Mike Israetel's done that. He's put a book together talking about the differences between performance and health with nutrition and what are the things that have the highest likelihood of the outcomes you're looking for with regards to performance and with regards to health. So you need a consensus. You need a consensus of all the literature, and you need people to look through all the literature, which I'm not going to do, because that is a lifetime's work. So you get a team of people to do that, put it all together, and that could go into something like a textbook. Limitations of a textbook, it might take a few years to produce, and then you might miss some recent data. But these things are always getting updated and so on and so forth. So now we're going to dive into the actual nutrition stuff. We've kind of talked about science, talked about theory of science, talked about hard sciences versus soft sciences, and we've kind of figured out that we are wrong about everything. And that's okay, because all that matters is we're looking for the most likely answer rather than being 100% this is truth. We are looking for the most likely, closest to truth outcomes and answers that enable us to get the outcomes that we're looking for. So, diving into it now, I'm going to go through both at the same time, actually, performance and health. So, when scientists have looked through all these papers on nutrition and gathered kind of principles to take away, the overarching thing for performance and for health with regards to nutrition is your calories. Now, everyone, I believe, with a social media account has heard calorie deficit. James Smith, PT, has made that so popular. It's crazy. If you haven't heard that, then you might be on the other kind of wavelength where it's like keto is life, calories don't matter. Or to those people, critical thinking is awesome. Look in the theory of science and kind of learn about thermodynamics, because calories is fundamental. Calories is fundamental because the outcome, that a difference in calorie consumption relative to calorie usage will dictate the body weight you're at. And body weight has so many influences on health. It's like a leading indicator of heart disease, cancer, all of these kinds of things when it comes to nutrition. Obviously, there's other factors that we're not talking about today that influence health, but with regards to nutrition, calories influences your body weight, and body weight is huge, particularly body fat. Do you have more visceral body fat around your organs? That's the kind of stuff that leads to poor health outcomes, or do you just have an excess of fat on your body? It's also very important for performance, for your sport. You probably want to be at a certain body fat that's optimal for your sport. If you are a water polo player, you might want a little bit of extra body fat. If you are a bodybuilder, you probably want as little as possible, and that enables you to still be alive when you're on the stage. So calories, at the bottom, I want you to think of a pyramid. This is the Illuminati. Think of a triangle with an eye in it. No, but seriously, think of a pyramid, and at the bottom, two pyramids. We've got one for health, one for performance. At the bottom, pop calories. And what I mean by calories, weight, your mass, how much do you weigh relative to your height? Is that in a healthy range? You don't have to be a specific number. Everyone's probably got a specific number for themselves. When I am 12 kilograms, I am happy. If I am not 12 kilograms, I am sad. Bullshit. There's a nice healthy range for everyone. You can figure that out. There's loads of data out there. You can even use BMI. There's limitations there, but it's a good indicator. Check your BMI. If your BMI is crazy and it's telling you you're obese, there's probably something to look into there. Unless it's for a specific performance outcome, that's different. So at the bottom of the pyramid for both performance and health, you've got calories. But directly after that, you get to see a slight divergence. So for performance, it's a bit more important to have your macronutrients, the breakdown of what those calories are made of, in order. This is typically most likely because you need protein to fuel recovery, to build your muscles, to get good outcomes. You need carbohydrates for certain for pretty much all sports, to fuel that activity. And you need fats for recovery, hormones, things like that as well. So the macronutrients are more important for performance than for health. So up a level on the pyramid for health, the quality of what those calories are made of is theorized to be slightly more important than the composition of those macros. So for example, if you're just eating super processed palatable foods that are known to be poor quality, like loads of high saturated fats, for example, really low quality, low nutrient density foods, that's worse for health outcomes than having your macros in order. But then it flips. So for performance, the quality is then next. So getting good foods, healthy fats, lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, grains, these kinds of things, quality is then next for performance, and macros is then next for your health. So those kinds of, they flip-flop for performance and health. So there's going to be some differences when you're talking about health and performance. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot here. Maybe too much caffeine, but we'll keep powering through. Good little coffee here, dark roasted. It's actually doing bits for morale. Yeah, morale is up today. So those are the three most important things, and that's probably 99% of your nutrition outcomes. That base of the pyramid, that's huge. Calories being number one. Like calories, get your calories right, and therefore get your body weight right, get your body fat right. That's probably 80 to 90% of performance and health outcomes sorted. Now that's annoying to hear because people always want the secret, but I'm fasting. I only eat between 12 and 6, and that makes me better than you. well, it doesn't actually. Your performance outcomes, your health outcomes will not be good if in those 6 hours you eat 3 calories. You'll probably die. Or you eat 20,000 calories and you only need 2 or 3,000 to survive or get going. So nutrient timing, supplements, these things do not matter nearly as much. Singular foods. They're like singular foods. I've had my chia seeds today. My chia seeds are in the system, therefore I'm healthy. No, that's a small ticket of this whole picture. And we'll dive into practical things on another episode. This is just more about figuring out principles to apply. And this is just, again, the most likely reason. Maybe this is all wrong, but there's a lot of evidence supporting this. There's so many nutrition studies out there, and obviously there's going to be some poorer and better quality ones. The qualities will vary, but a consensus, all of this is what the science is telling us, and that's the best thing that we have in our society for making decisions off of, rather than just someone's opinion on the news or on a documentary. It's better to grab our opinions, take our opinions from science. So next for performance is nutrient timing. Also for health. So those are the kind of things that are going next. Nutrient timing. So for performance, it's pretty important, albeit less important than calories because you need that first. But nutrient timing, you want to have carbs around your performance, a bit of fat depending on the sport. This has huge variations depending on the sport, but you want to be fueled for performance and you want to then recover directly after. Health, there is some evidence coming out regarding fasting occasionally, so keeping your calories within a certain window. I mean, that does make slight sense based on like evolution. We wouldn't have always had food available. Maybe it's good to have sometimes not eating food all the time. It does also make it a little sneak peek of future ideas, practical ideas, but it does also make it easier to limit your calorie intake, having a smaller window to eat food. So nutrient timing, that is definitely a factor, something to think about. Hydration, yes, you need water to survive. And then like at the bottom, we're talking less than 1%, and people will be upset. But this is good news. Supplements. You shouldn't really typically waste your money on supplements until everything else is in order that I've discussed before. Supplements will have such an Sorry for interrupting the pod. I'm just here to advertise the programs. A couple programs in the link in the bio, in the link tree. Hypertrophy program if you want to get jacked out of your nut, and the fundamentals program if you're a bit bored of your training, you want to mix it up, you're fed up of just lifting weights in the gym and you want to become a little bit more athletic. Dive into the link tree and get involved now. Significant impact on your health or performance, that it's only once you've got everything else dialed in you should start thinking about those kinds of things. And that's again like that. Some people will be like, oh, but my supplements are my life. Supplements are my life. If I don't have my BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, how will I ever make any gains? How will my muscles survive? Even though branched chain amino acids are in every single protein source that you eat. That's what they're made of. But anyway, that's fine. Marketing's great. Free market economics, let them kind of be sold lies by advertisements. It's fine. People got to make money, and hopefully decisions in the future for purchasing will be more. You will have a better knowledge and understanding before you go around spending all your money on shitty supplements. I say this even though I've just spent a lot on protein powder and creatine, which are two that I would recommend for performance. But that is, again, because generally my calories, macros, qualities is pretty good. And I want to give another point here, the probably last point that we'll go into. you don't have to be perfect all of the time. There is a lot of evidence suggesting that if you're good 80% of the time, you can have fun for the other 20 with your food. You don't have to be a drill sergeant. You don't have to weigh everything. You don't have to do that all the time. You should probably, for quality of life, for long-term success, find a balance with how you organize your nutrition. So don't dive in and go absolutely haywire and weigh everything, because you will have a mentee B, which is a mental breakdown, which I learned this year. Mentee Bs are not good for morale. Anti-morale. So yeah, so have a little bit of flexibility, have a little bit of fun. And yes, it's important to get your calories dialed, learn about macros. If you want to lose weight, lose weight. If you need to gain weight, gain weight. You can dive way further into all these topics. I'm just giving a overarching chat about these things so far. So get your calories in order. And like, if the questions I'm getting on this episode or from clients or friends or whatever are like, after this episode are like, okay, so should I fast? That's like you don't even need to worry about that right now. I'll do another episode on practical solutions for sorting out nutrition in a variety of different outcomes that you're looking for. But just like, get your calories in order. And there's so many calorie calculators online. Just get an idea, track it for a couple of days if you want, or you can just guesstimate. That's what I've always done. I think I've tracked for about half a day in my life. I will not do that. I love food too much. I'm not a robot. I'm nowhere near disciplined enough or conscientious enough. Like, I just will eat and weigh myself typically a few times a week and see the general trend. That is the most important thing. We're talking big rocks to fill the jar first, not these little grains of sand, these little tiny grains of sand, like the supplements, nutrient timing, these kinds of things that don't really have big outcomes. And it's just the Pareto principle that is throughout the universe. Kind of. 20% of the effort gives us 80% of the results. Calories is that thing. And that is what we're looking for. Yes. So, little podcast going over theory of science. You should try and make decisions based off science, meta-analysis, systematic reviews first. Textbooks are good for going over those kinds of things in a little bit more of a comprehensive, easier way to digest, rather than actually reading the scientific papers yourself. I don't think anyone should really be... Well, you can do that, but it requires a lot of time and energy. And if you don't have a scientific background, is it worth it? That's for you to decide. Fuck your documentaries. I'll say that with confidence. Maybe they'll get some good scientific documentaries to come out. But the issue is the reality might not be as exciting as like Roman gladiators eating vegetables before their fight. But the reality was of that's because they got the scraps when they were in prison, not because they were actual fueling for performance. So yeah, this stuff is often not as exciting or as juicy as these documentaries make out. Anyway, so I'm rambling on. Looking at the science, textbooks are good. There's a hierarchy of evidence. Try and make decisions based off that. Performance, you're looking for calories first, then macros, then quality of food, then nutrient timing, hydration, and supplements. That's your order of importance. Prioritize calories and macros effectively to keep it blunt and easy. Health, calories, again, get to a healthy body weight. Again, typically, if you're very overweight, or if you're very obese, losing 10% of your body weight has so much positive health outcomes you wouldn't even believe. Like, that's what a lot of the evidence suggests. Just losing 10% of your body weight. Bear in mind, that was a couple years ago since I've read that. So that might be updated, so don't hold me to that. But again, that's something that's manageable to strive towards, 10% of your body weight. It could take you a year to do that. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Like, it's a journey, it's a process. Weight loss is very hard. It is a psychological battle. We'll go into that in more depth on the next episode, probably. Don't hold me to it, but probably. Yes. So for health, calories, get to a healthy body weight. Then it's quality. Make sure those calories are made up of good, healthy fats, lean protein, good quality carbs, fruits, veg, high fiber, grains, that kind of stuff. Awesome. Then it's food composition, the macronutrients, nutrient timing, hydration, supplements. Hope you enjoyed the pod. Hope you got some value out of it. Open for discussions, and I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist. I've got a nutrition coaching qualification from Precision Nutrition, which is an outstanding course, one of the best courses I've done. And nutrition is still a huge battle for me and for my clients every single day. It's very, very complicated. The decisions we make for nutrition is wrapped up in the biopsychosocial model. It's part of our society. It's part of our culture. It is an exceptionally complex thing, and coaching people through it is a real challenge. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this pod. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.